Okay, good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock, April 20th, 2020. Time to call our Board of Works meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, can roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Schweinhammer?
Present.
Ms. Jones?
Present.
Mayor Barnett?
Present.
All accounted for, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's go ahead and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Hi, Sean. We heard you. Okay. All right. I don't know. Do we have any announcement? I want to say there's two people in the public that are social distancing also here. So, do we have any announcements, any presentations, any public comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the minutes for April 6, 2020 for the Board of Works and the approval of claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear nobody opposed, so we'll move on to old business. This one's been on a couple times. We get to get it off tonight, I think. Board of Works Resolution 2004, authorizing master lease agreement and an addendum to request approval of lease of wheel loader. Street Commissioner Brett Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologize that this has been tabled a couple times, but finally it is before you. This is just a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a lease agreement for us to move forward with a new wheel loader. This is a pretty capital-intensive piece of equipment that I don't feel we can justify owning one. I look back on this one, I think it's about actually a $220,000 piece of equipment. So what we are asking the Board of Works to approve is to enter into a lease agreement. We will have this machine for 5 years and 2,500 usable hours. And so, like I said, I apologize that this got tabled. There should also be an addendum, which I don't actually see on my agenda, but I know that it is prepared. Ms. Gray prepared that. And basically, it just needs to accompany the master lease agreement because Ms. Gray had some things that she wanted, some verbiage and language that she wanted changed or updated. And I believe they've agreed to at least 90% of our requests. So just ask that the board approve this so that we can move forward.
Brett, I believe that the addendum is before the elected officials or before the Board of Works members that are making this decision. Mr. Schweinhammer, did you see the addendum?
I did.
Yeah, and Ms. Jones, did you see the addendum?
No, I did not. I didn't.
It was just
see
an email.
I can take care of it very quickly. Brett's being kind. He and I had this done months ago, but there were several things in the master lease agreement that I did not think were appropriate, and so I recommended that they make some changes, and it took them a while to get back to us. The addendum are the changes that they're willing to make, which essentially are all the things I requested. Primarily, Lisa, there was a provision that said the master lease agreement was non-cancelable in the original one. As you know, we have provisions when you're dealing with a government agency that you have to put in contracts that it's always subject to appropriation, and that's a requirement by law. In their agreement, I don't remember what state they had, but it was not Indiana, and so I indicated we needed to agree to Indiana. They agreed to that. They had provision in there regarding late charges. We rarely agree, late charges with a very short turnaround, we always ask for more time. We don't pay late charges ever because our clerk treasurer does a good job of paying on time, but we extended the time just in the event there was a loss in the mail or something like that. They agreed to that. Took out the taxes. There's always a provision in those master lease agreements where they want us to pay taxes. We're obviously a non-tax paying entity, but they build those into the lease agreements, and then sometimes we'll say, well, you're not paying taxes, but you're paying our taxes that we have to pay. So I pushed back on that. They deleted that from the master lease agreement. Non-substitution, they had a provision in there that they could substitute parties. We didn't want to do that because we don't know, we want to know who we're dealing with. They agreed on that. They had an indemnification agreement. I originally asked that it be taken out. Indemnification meaning we would hold them harmless from everything. I asked originally that that be taken out. They, and I think it's a reasonable request, didn't want it to be completely taken out. If we were negligent in the operation of the wheel loader, that's probably an acceptable request. But we are not responsible for holding them harmless. If they do something negligently, I don't know what it would be because, quite frankly, they're just a leasehold interest. So when Brett said 90%, they didn't take out completely, but the one they have now is acceptable to me. So the things set forth in the addendum are basically their agreements to the request that I made, and that's what took so long.
Okay, thank you.
I would move for the passage of resolution number 2020-04, a resolution authorizing master lease agreement with for the Doosan wheel loader.
Sir, would that include the authority for the mayor to sign on behalf of the Board of Works?
It's got everybody's signature on it.
On the addendum, it does not.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would include in my motion the authorization for the mayor to sign individually for all of us.
I'll second.
And I probably confused you because the resolution has you all, because I prepared that, but the addendum has just the mayor. So you're going to sign the resolution, but the addendum is just going to be signed by the mayor.
Yes, you confused.
I did.
Okay.
I confused myself.
Lisa didn't make the second, so.
She has not yet.
No, she did.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, so we have a motion and a second.
Well, let's just for clarification purposes, the lead or the actual resolution has all three signatures. The addendum is the one that only the mayor will sign on behalf of the board.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bob, do you need Lisa to second that one too?
Just acknowledge.
I acknowledge and second if you need me to second.
Hey, way to make Lynn work for this one. Yeah, appreciate it. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Brett. All right, that gets us to new business. Request approval and acceptance of the secondary plat for the Franklin Gateway Development, Section 3. Senior Planner Joanna Myers.
Section 3 of the Franklin Gateway Development is the establishment of Lot 4 for the construction of Culver's. It's all been reviewed and approved and compliant with the site development plan for Culver's. Just as a point of note, they do have the closing set for that lot set for the 23rd. So we are, if it does get accepted this evening, we do need to get signatures as soon as possible on that for them to get that recorded. And it is currently in the foyer of City Hall, ready for your guys' signature.
I'll move
Okay,
to
so-
approve the What? Do you want me to continue?
Continue.
I'll move to approve the request for the approval and acceptance of the secondary plat for the Franklin Gateway Development, Section 3, as presented by Joanna Myers. And I will come by, Joanna, tomorrow and sign that.
Thank you.
I'll second and I'll sign it before I leave.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2, request authorization to bid the GBT and the BFP rebuilds, DPW Superintendent Sally Brown.
Yes, I'm here. This is just the authorization for the bids to be bid, and there's a schedule out. I don't know if you can see it, but if we can get this done, we could have the bids in and by May 18th, it looks like. No, issue June 1st. So, and this is the gravity belt thickeners and belt filter press rebuilds that we've been working on for some time.
And Sally, you sent me the engineer's estimates, and
Yeah,
it appears,
the estimates.
yeah, the gravity belt is.
You want me to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It looked, the engineer's estimate, the 2 gravity belts are rebuild about $343,000, and both of the belt presses are about $437,000. Those are the estimates.
And 2 of each are needed?
We got
Yes, that is for 2. So the $437,000 for the 2 presses, divide that by 2.
Okay. Gotcha.
Is that Sally barking out orders?
I can't hear anything. Am I still on? Oh.
Sally, if I may advise the
Yes.
Board of Works members, I spoke with Gary Rushton from Wessler Engineering. He's putting together
Yes.
the bid package.
Right.
And I spoke with him on Friday because in this unique time, his question was whether or not we had to have a public meeting to open the bids.
Yes.
The governor has changed quite a few requirements, but that was not one of them. So we do still need to have a public meeting, but I believe we can do it in this format.
Yes.
Because that's acceptable to council. So the public meeting that we're anticipating having to receive the bids will be on May 12th, 2020, and what we will in all likelihood do, Sally will be here. We may enlist the assistance of Rick and Gary will be in this room, call the meeting to order so that the bidders can listen in when we open the bids, and it'll be deferred to council to look at. And Sally,
Okay.
just make sure that Gary includes our form contract when he sends out the bids so that we don't have to negotiate another contract.
Correct. Got it.
This will be signed on, the mayor will sign on behalf of.
No, we don't know yet what.
Sally or?
No.
No, I think what we're doing here is we're going to, assuming, approve the proposed bidding and construction schedule, which will allow her to authorize advertising, advertise for bid, and receive the bids. Then the
Correct.
actual the bids and the issue of notice would be at the next, the 18th, May of 18th
Correct.
meeting.
Correct.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed bidding and construction schedule as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, I heard 3 ayes, so no one's opposed. Thank you. Next, request approval of contract with OMSI to market and transport biosolids from Franklin Wastewater Treatment Plant. DPW Superintendent Sally Brown.
Yes. The OMSI is the company that we have used. Rick entered an agreement with them 5 years ago, and it's the very same agreement. We're just renewing. They market and distribute. They use our biosolids in a process. They have it hauled to Seymour, and they use it. And this is a contract that says they haul off all of our sludge, and We've used them. We have a good relationship with them in the past. They're easy to work with, and it's frankly pretty hands off for us. We just load it and they take it away. So the price has gone up just a bit, but everything else is the same. And Lynn looked over the contract.
And for the record, I reviewed, Sally, thank you for getting it to me so early. I reviewed it. It's probably one of the better ones we have that's not slanted against the other side. And they also signed the affidavit of compliance with the existing law and provided the insurance requirements.
I will make a motion to approve the OMSI Master Services Agreement with Organic Mineral Systems Incorporated as presented.
And are you authorizing the mayor to sign on behalf of the utility, sir?
Of course.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
And I do appreciate them being able to reuse that product. I like that we're working with them for that reason too.
Yeah, it's nice they do that.
Okay. So we'll
I will
move
get their signed copy to you tomorrow, Jane.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear Jane all right?
No, I can't, but that's okay. I'm done.
Okay, she said thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the 2020 Community Crossings Matching Grant Project list. So I think most of you know. I think we sent out something when we received this, and Mark talked about it at the last meeting. He done a good job of putting together. It takes a lot of work, and it is a competitive process to go through to get the grant, and we was awarded the $1 million again, and Mark is going to tell us what the $1 million is going to be used for. So are you ready, Mark?
I am ready. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We have two different projects that we submitted. The first is County Road 525 or Forest Road, which is out at the Franklin Tech Park. We're going to do a full depth reclamation of that road between State Road 44 and County Road 50 South or Mitchell Road. The estimated cost of that is basically $1.325 million. The RDC will be funding the local match on that. I believe Krista has prepared a resolution for funding of $675,000. So if the bids come in a little bit high, we've got a little bit of cushion there. The balance of the work is a mill and overlay of 5 different road segments within the city. 3 of those are going to be a 4.5-inch mill with 3 inches of intermediate and 1.5 inches of surface put back on. Those segments are essentially Graham Road. There are 2 segments between Commerce Parkway and the Louisville and Indiana Rail Spur that crosses Graham Road. Then the reason we've got a gap is because there is an area of road that is outside of our jurisdiction because of annexation. There's a part of the ground that hasn't been annexed, but then just south of the rail spur will pick up again and go all the way down to the rail crossing at Lyndhurst Drive, and that's also a 4.5-inch mill and overlay. Then Eastview Drive between the Upper Shelbyville roundabout and the Arvin Road roundabout will also receive a 4.5-inch mill and overlay. And then then the final two segments will be Home Avenue. There's a section of new pavement just south of the Youngs Creek Bridge where we'll start and then we'll end at South Street. The last street that we're going to do is Forsyth Street from King Street up to essentially Hurricane Ditch. The pavement is being replaced, or we're adding an inch and a half of surface to the pavement north of that as part of the Forsyth Street project, and that's actually going to be done tomorrow. So Forsyth Street in its entirety will have new pavement once this is all done. The cost of the mill and overlay work is just under $700,000. So our local match on that will be $350,000. Total cost of all the projects under community crossings is $2.02 million. So we're right there, just above the limit, which made us eligible for the $1 million in funding. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Mark, it's not really a question, it's a comment. The section that's going to be skipped, that's not in the city limits, the county has that, and they've agreed to go ahead and we pave it and they reimburse us, correct?
Yes, we'll add that to our contract. We will open bids on this, on all this work except for the Forest Road project. That will be bid in August. We'll open bids on all the mill and overlay work on April 29th, which is next week sometime. And once we award a contract, then we will have the contractor add that section of Graham Road that's outside of our jurisdiction to the project, and we'll enter into an interlocal agreement with Johnson County to pay for that.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that with everybody. So that was, again, good job on getting the grant, and appreciate what you do every year trying to do that. Let's hope that there's supposed to be another round of funding this year, so I'm glad that we went ahead and did it early, because that next round of funding may not be there this year with the situation, and certainly not next.
Saying that there's a 40% reduction in fuel sales so far over the last month. That's certainly going to impact community crossings funding going forward. If things get back more to normal with fuel sales, then we'll have we'll be ready next January to submit the next application, and hopefully it won't be too much of a reduction in funding.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Mark, that you want to? While you're
not at this time. Are we still going to do our department head reports?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll get back. All right. We'll
thanks.
move on. You're welcome. So we'll move on to the next one, which is request approval of the dumpster enclosure easement agreement for 55 East Court Street. That would be Community Development Director Krista Linke or Dana Monson, her partner.
Hi, everybody. This is Krista Linke. We do have this easement agreement that Lynn put together. This is for a new dumpster enclosure. It's at 55 East Court Street, but it's actually at the rear of the building, so it actually faces Water Street. Exhibit C has a map, if you're able to look at that online. But this is basically the way Lynn has this written is this is a 10-year agreement for an easement. We would pay for the dumpster enclosure. They are not asking, the property owner is not asking for any compensation to use the property, but we would provide the enclosure, and then if anything happened to where they no longer wanted the shared dumpster enclosure on their property, before those 10 years were up, there's a prorated charge, basically a charge per month that they would have to pay to get out of this easement. I have spoken with the property owners today, and they're just still reviewing it, but I don't have any reason to believe that they have any concerns. So this is just something that we would want to have the easement in place before the actual contract is awarded to build the dumpster enclosures.
Thank you, Krista. If I might add for Ms. Whitehammer and Ms. Jones, Dana put together a bid package to bid both dumpster enclosures. There's two. The one that I call Behind the Elks. We own that property. That's what was purchased from Mr. Admire. But the bid went out for that dumpster enclosure and the one on 55 East Court Street. And this is owned by Andy Wood, not the attorney, but different Andy Wood. I had prepared this easement before Dana sent out the bids, and their only concern being Mr. Wood, which we don't have to deal with the property that we own, was he didn't want to have an easement in perpetuity on his property. So the way that the dollar amount was arrived at in this easement was I simply took 10 years, meaning 120 months, and amortized the cost of that enclosure itself. So in the event that 1 year in he decided he wanted to do it, then they'd be paying back 90% of what we spent on the dumpster enclosure, and we would be entitled to remove the enclosure. And that seemed to be something that's acceptable to the property owner. I doubt that they will, because any commercial entity that they use there will also have access to that easement, but just in case, his concern, and I understand that concern, was not to tie up his property forever back there with that enclosure. So that's where the term came from. I simply divided it by 120.
I'll move to approve the grant of easement behind 55 East Court between the city and Franklin Property Group, and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, we will move on. Thank you. Thank you, Krista.
Thank you.
The next one under other business, that is just informational only. I try to every year about this time or sooner try to get a list of the projects that we're going to try to accomplish this summer, give the Board of Works a heads up, give the City Council a heads up, and then we try to see how we're going to fund it. And if you notice, everybody notice, I've been asked this question a couple times, over to the right where it says grant, and it's lined up. For an example, the first one with Railroad Crossing, that's how much of a grant we have, the $134,962, that's our part of it. And the same thing right on down, it lines up with emergency signals. And then the pedestrian project you see in the blue, the school safety zone, there it's in the black again. That's all grant money that we received, and those grants add up to $2,443,375.60. So there again, with I think Mayor McGinnis actually, when he was mayor, was applying for the railroad grant, and then Mark has applied for all these other grants. So the grant cycle, and our engineers that we've had, Travis Underhill and Mark Richards, have both been good to us. The other one on down the line, you see the alley projects. The alley's already been bid, awarded. They should be starting pretty soon. And again, the dumpster closure we just talked about. I know Lisa has been asking about the pedestrian crossings at Home Avenue, the Elks, and at Shell Creek. That's part of the project list this year to get done. One thing that we've looked, the next one, the I-65 Early Wood study, I think we're going to put that one on hold this year just because of COVID-19. We want to sit back and see where we're headed with our funding down the road. So that's $300,000. That would be a good one to put back and not do this year. We may not even be able to do it next year. We just don't know. We'll see where we're at the end of the day. The next one are road projects. Roundabout, there was a change order that we've already approved that we got to pay for. And then our 2020 paving projects on top of what you just heard us talking about with the Community Crossings grant. I asked Mark to take a look at trying to get around $1 million, maybe not the 1.5, but we might need some of that to go into the Community Crossing stuff. So we want to be a little conservative there. And then striping, you know, we need to keep up on striping our roads. We want to do that. We want to crack seal. That leads to longer life with our streets. And then the concrete patching, the $150,000, we may or may not do that, or we may have some of our guys do some of that this year. But anyway, that's what we're looking to do this year, and doesn't sound like much, does it? I figured Mark and Joanna would say something, but they're not here to say anything. They're on the phone. They'll be quiet. All right. Well, that's.
No, I'm not going to be quiet.
Okay. I know whenever I always say every day you guys aren't doing anything, we already got it over, they just look at me and roll their eyes. So sorry about that. You guys do great. I appreciate it. Okay. That was. Is there any questions on those projects? Anybody have? Lisa, do you have?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Bob's shaking his head. So, all right, we'll go on to department reports, and I'm going to start with Chip, like always.
Awesome. So, Parks and Recreation. We're kind of in a holding pattern at the moment. I've got our staff working on contingency plans for the what if. The problem is we don't know what if is at the moment. So, I'll be working with the mayor and the park board probably between now and May 1st to make some tough decisions about what we're going to do, especially for the pool this summer, the summer camp, summer events that we have downtown, and even opening the rec center and the active adult center. So just might be prepared in the next couple of weeks. You'll probably see us make those kind of decisions, and then we'll communicate those out. But that's kind of where we are.
Okay, thank you, Chip. Police Chief Kirby.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Hey, the first thing I got is, and it was at the beginning of the agenda, and I'm not sure if it got mentioned or I missed it, but we do have a new officer started. His name's Thomas Lovell. Due to COVID restrictions, we do not have him in the office. We've pushed back his actual swear-in date. However, he does have several weeks of requirements for the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. So we have him doing some in-service work, getting kind of doing it backwards, but getting him ahead of the game there so he can stay on track. Maybe 2-3 weeks we can get him sworn in. But he is on board, kind of unofficially, but he is on board and he's being paid. So we got to keep him busy. In-office staff, we're still in a holding pattern with the support staff. We have one admin staff person or secretary in the office at a time. As much as possible. Everybody else is out. As far as traffic enforcement, I know that it's been discussed. I got hit pretty hard over the last 2 weeks on traffic enforcement in some neighborhoods, phone calls, things like that. So I've instructed my guys to be safe, approach from the passenger side if you have to, but continue to work on traffic enforcement as safely as possible. It's getting out of hand. We got more people moving around than should be, so we have stepped up our traffic. So other than that, everything else is good. Knock on wood. I'm not even going to say it, but everybody so far is in good shape, and we haven't had any worries. We've been really blessed with the community support with food and drinks and things like that, so we appreciate that. Got some masks coming from Walmart tomorrow. And also more hand sanitizer. So if anybody needs any, we have ample supply. So other than that, things are good.
Thank you, Kirby. Fire Chief Matt Culp.
We also had a new person start last Monday, and he has actually started on shift yesterday, and we are just going to try to beat Kirby to getting our gentleman swearing first at the next time we can have an in-person conference. Other than that, I went to talk to Brett earlier today, and this is the first year we're using the city garage to do preventive maintenance on the fire trucks. They actually have the second of the 5 fire trucks done today. So it's saving us a little bit of money, and I do appreciate them working with us to get that done. Other than that, I'd like to just reiterate the great community support we have received, just like the police department. And that, other than that, just day-to-day operations.
Thank you, Matt. And just so everyone knows, on our weekly video, Matt Culp is going to be the star tomorrow, and Dr. Craig Mormon is also going to speak with the Johnson County Health Department. So that should go out sometime tomorrow evening. So just so everybody knows. Sally Brown.
Yes, we don't have anything major going on. Construction is going fine. Everyone's healthy. We're doing our best to social distance. And I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you. Sherry Phillips.
Hello. Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat. This week, the girls I've not been able to let them do a rotating schedule. We've all been in the office 8 to 4:30, just due to mail and heavy office workload. And they're okay with that because we make sure that everybody's far apart enough that they feel comfortable, and we make sure and keep our office sanitized and everything. In fact, I'm a crazy person when it comes to that. But anyway, another story. But anyway, we're getting ready for the May bills to go out with the new rates. Currently testing those in Keystone. They look good. So everything looks like it's going well there. So that's all we got right now.
Okay, and I don't know if Bob and Lisa saw the letter that was in the bills that went out, but it was a nice letter that you put together. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Rick Littleton.
I think everything's been going really well. We've got a lot of administrative staff that are, working from their homes. So all in all, I think that's gone fairly well with little problem and conferences like this as well. So hope to keep it that way.
Thank you, Rick. Krista Linke.
We just have an application I wanted to let you know about, an application. Office of Community and Rural Affairs. We applied for $200,000 for small business grants for Franklin businesses, and there's no match requirement, anything like that. That went in Friday, and so I think I mentioned that at the last Board of Works meeting. We had put in a letter of need, but now the actual application's been filed, and so just waiting to hear back on that. And so I will keep you posted. Hopefully it's some good news.
Thank you, Krista. Brett Jones.
Yeah, Mayor, just kind of reiterate what I said this morning, just publicly and for Bob and Lisa. And just huge shout out to everybody on the evening of April 8th. Had some pretty adverse weather in Franklin, and again, just want to make it known that it was a great team effort by all departments, and sure appreciate everybody's effort, and appreciate the opportunity for you to make me a film star. And I think those videos are working. It seems that the community's been very responsive and understanding when they call in and inform us that they have a brush pile at the end of their driveway. So appreciate all the efforts, but thank you to everybody again, and just wanted to get that on. So Bob and Lisa were on board with how that event went that night. I think it went really well.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Mark Richards.
Yes, sir. I wanted to let you know that I did receive the Community Crossings Matching Grant contracts from NDOT. I'll have 2 of them for the next Board of Works meeting. Those will have to be signed by the entire board as well as tested by Jane. So you can look forward to that. Forsyth Street, as I mentioned, the paving should be complete tomorrow, and then they'll have basically some grading work and seeding on the lawn. And lastly, the amphitheater project, we've got it scheduled to advertise on May 8th and May 15th. We're going to have a pre-bid meeting on May 20th. We expect to open bids on the 9th of June and award at the Board of Works meeting on the 15th of June. So that's moving forward. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Joanna, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do not have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. How about Dana? Are you still on, Dana?
I'm still on. No, I don't have anything else to add. Just thank you for getting the dumpster enclosure agreement done.
Okay, thank you. I don't think Tara got on here. She did send me a text, just so you know, we talked about this morning. She just sent me a text a few minutes ago. Her dad is awake, moving his fingers and toes and extremities on command. So that's a good sign when you have a brain tumor taken out. Just so everybody knows that. You could tell this morning on the conference call or on the Zoom meeting, she was a little bit upset, so as she should have been. So anyway, just wanted to get that out there. Does anybody, Ms. Gray, do you have anything?
No, sir.
How about you, Lisa? Do you have anything?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
Bob?
No, sir.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
No.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.